So, session 9.1, automated and enhanced feedback systems. Our goal today is to evaluate the quality of AI-generated feedback using a research-based 10 criteria framework, and then build a personalized evaluation checklist that you can use immediately. So hopefully there'll be some useful stuff for you all here. We're going to examine why AI feedback that sounds polished may fail students in critical ways. And then we're going to apply 10 research-grounded criteria to evaluate a real piece of AI-generated feedback and create a personalized AI feedback evaluation checklist. So what we just said in the goals, but a little bit more specific. Um, okay, so AI feedback is something that can be done, but has to be done extremely carefully. Um, and when I don't know if anybody has tried it, but we have to be very careful because there are a lot of problems that can happen, especially with student data and identifying information about your students that is going into the big black box of we don't know what's going to happen to it. So this one is not so much on that because I feel like we covered that in sessions 2.1 and 2.2 when we were talking about kind of the ethical use of AI. And I remember us talking about FERPA and um, all of the things that we want to try to avoid if we're doing anything with student work um, and, you know, giving it to the AI. So I will say I've talked to faculty that have used AI to create initial feedback, in which case they had a system that they used. Um, And, they told me that no identifying information, no student information was provided. And it helped them to cut their uh, grading down by a significant amount. Um, because what it was doing, there were a certain parts of the assignment that could be if you feed your assignment into the AI, like the assignment description and the rubric and all that kind of stuff, and then um, take out the just the like once I just can't keep stressing it that you don't want to put any student information, but just the assignment part um, in that it can go through and give feedback according to the rubric, and then it can then that feedback would be the base that the instructor would go through, and if they needed to adjust it uh, or you know change or update anything, then they can do that based on the initial feedback that was given by the large language model. So I see a hand, Nizar. Nice to see you in here. Do you have a question?
Yeah, hi Ronald. Thank you very much for. Can I ask a question?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So, I use like what I do with the feedback, using AI to get feedback for my writing class. So, yes, I remove all private information details like student's name, class, any reference to anything personal, which is sometimes not relevant to the feedback. Because that's not the purpose of the feedback. So what I do, I use, for example, ChatGPT. I create like chatbot, GPT, and
Mhm.
I put my rubric in that for the quarter, like you create a GPT, project,
Mhm.
and then um, that's what I'm doing sometimes. But sometimes it gives you a lot of feedback. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I do. GPT, then based on the whatever you want to do,
Mhm.
because you don't need to write a prompt every single time. So you have already the prompt and the rubric, what level you have, what do you want exactly from the GPT to do the feedback for you. So is that fine, or is there another tool or better than GPT tool to get feedback? Do you have
Yeah,
any, or any of the colleagues here? Yeah,
that's a
if
good
there's any
question that I
other
think would be great to
Mhm.
hear from anybody else in here. Actually the focus is so I wanted to preface, where we're going with this um, session today, because let's imagine that you made the GPT and it gives you the feedback. Um, the AI feedback sounds confident, usually thorough and encouraging. But I don't know if you've looking very carefully at some of the feedback. It may be inaccurate or misaligned to your objectives, which could be harmful for the student growth. So, what we're going to look at today, there's an article that I found. It's this one. If you click underneath the slides, underneath the video and the audio, there's the support your learning. This article from the Center for Assessment uh, kind of goes over some of the considerations related to the feedback, but then it also gives a set of 10 criteria to look at, um, to kind of check your the feedback that it gives back. So that the GPT would return. And then when we get down here, we'll have it generate the feedback, but then also check the feedback. So it's gonna generate it and then self-evaluate. So we'll play around with that after we talk about this. But yeah, so I think that I don't have another specific tool, and then maybe we can open this up to see. But I like the idea of a GPT because then you can load up your assignment. It'll always have that there. Load up the rubric, load up an example assignment, and then it'll do a lot of the work. You don't have to go over and over again and say, reprompt and reprompt. So, Kelly, I see you have a hand up.
I do. So I've been playing with this, like create a GPT.
Hmm.
I had an incident or a situation a few weeks back where I had AI help me generate a procedural list on how to create a key server for an encryption algorithm that my students would utilize to encrypt data.
Hmm.
And then once they completed it, they filled out, there was a little questionnaire. I don't call them tests or quizzes, but answer these questions on what, how it went and what worked and that type thing. And then he gives them feedback. Well, what was funny was the feedback it was giving them, it would state something, for example, like when you install a program in Linux, that you may need other programs installed first for that program to work. They're called dependencies, right?
Hmm.
And the feedback told them that they needed to install the software in a particular order and that it would not function properly. And they all got nailed on it, but it was wrong. The
Oh,
feedback was out. And I thought, where did this come from? I had no idea where this came from. But you know, we that got us into the whole discussion of accuracy with AI and
yeah.
inaccuracies and having to be, we just proved it's wrong because we just did it and it worked. You know,
Yeah.
it
Oh,
worked
did
without
you
that.
did you figure out where in the prompting that it got that from, or it was
No,
just?
no, and we
kind
were
of
using
hallucinated.
no, we were using apt, which automatically will grab the dependencies and install them.
Hmm.
So we had to install Perl. That was the only thing that they had to install manually. And then install the package and then it downloaded the dependencies, installed those in whatever order it deemed fit, and then it installed GNUPG is what it's called, or GPG is what people call it.
Hmm.
And it worked. And then so I went back and looked to see in the dependencies, did it do it in a specific order? And it did not. It did not. So then
Mm.
I thought it was really funny because if I had Ubuntu 2204 running server, it installed it, one way. If I did it in 2404, it was different. If I did it in
Hmm.
Fedora, it was different. I don't know
Hmm.
where it came from. I have no idea, but I thought it
Interesting.
would add to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just to reiterate, to always double check the outputs to see, to make sure it's given the right information, especially if you're giving feedback to students. I think this one is, this week, uh, previous weeks, previous sessions, it's like a lot of, back end stuff, preparing, multiple pathways and different kinds of assessments. But this one is if you're going to be using AI with student work and then giving them, you know, hopefully an updated and human human-centered version of feedback, that's definitely something that you have to be more conscious about, I would say. But Nizar, I see you have a hand as well.
Yeah, the issue I am facing sometimes with the feedback I get from AI, I'm talking here specifically about ChatGPT. It's a really lengthy
Mm,
feedback. So the piece of writing is maybe 4 paragraph or 5 paragraph essay, and then you will get maybe 6, 7 pages of feedback, which is yeah, that's crazy, So yes, you can use it as a reference for the feedback you write, because I ask my students to write in the classroom. So my class is 5 credit, so 4 of them is in the classroom. So all the
mm,
writing is done in person. So I could just like very traditional way of doing it in the classroom, and they have a rubric, the students themselves, and they do peer editing, peer reviewing, and then I take the final version, the final draft to get feedback. Sometimes I submit it in that GPT that I talked about, but the feedback is very lengthy. So I was wondering if Kelly, you tried another tool because that's what you got from GPT. But sometimes you maybe try another tool, like you compare maybe 2, 3 tools to get feedback, and then you see what is the best one.
mm,
Currently, I'm using a lot Perplexity, which is really,
mm,
it gives me anything I got is connected to a link. And the
mm,
link is very valid and it's a good resource, like from a scholar, from a good website, and from a school or an institution. So
yeah.
I'm using sometimes Perplexity, and I really love it. I didn't try Perplexity for feedback, honestly speaking, till now. But sometimes I use GPT, I use Copilot, I use Gemini just to compare the feedback. Is it
Hmm.
the same, or which one is the better? Each
Yeah.
one has, but again, inaccuracy is an issue among most of the AI tools and platforms. It's getting much better, like much better than like 2 years ago, if you compare that, especially if you use the paid version, because
Hmm.
there's a lot
Sure.
of thinking and a lot of deep, research. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, and I think what you can try, Nizar, is to go into your GPT that you created and then like let me just pop
Make
into
some
one real.
changes, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you go in and edit your GPT, hop over to the create
Uh-huh.
button and say the feedback is way too detailed
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and kind of like prompt it and see, um, maybe provide an example of what ideal feedback would look like and say, this is the format and this is the length of the feedback that I'm looking for. So can you
Mm-hmm.
please update the GPT so that it
Yeah.
will create
Yeah.
feedback
Yeah.
like this?
Yeah. Thank you. And currently, sorry, I forgot to say, I am using, I'm talking here as an ESL instructor, writing, reading instructor, specifically
Mhm.
writing. So I'm using a new tool. It's called GPT Edit. I think that's the name of the tool. I can share it in the group. Uh, it gives you really, I think it's called, I can, if you like, I can access my account and share it like yes, exactly. I think that one, the yellow one, the one
Oh,
you,
okay.
yeah, where, if you,
This one here.
yes, yes,
Edit GPT.
yeah, it's called Edit GPT. So this one, I don't know if they have. I'm using a paid version so yes, yeah, it does like this exactly. So it
Mm.
has a lot of option for proofreading, for rewriting. You see the options
Yeah.
on the top
Yeah,
left
yeah, yeah, up
side.
here.
You see, oh,
Concise,
check, yeah,
streamline, improve.
exactly. So you ask, do it, just check the grammar, make it light, proofreading. So that is, I find it very accurate to get feedback. And you can accept it, you can reject it. And I think in a way or another, yeah, you see that it's $8 and there is maybe with some features. So that could be also a good way. I'm talking here about writing,
Hmm.
not about like maybe technical thing or very
Yeah.
specific, maybe, yeah. So you see rewrite, fix the grammar, you can choose any option you want.
Mm.
So that could be maybe another tool writing teacher can use. And yeah, I just wanted to again share that with the group.
Yeah. Thank you. It's always good to see new tools that are out there and hear some use cases for them. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to put that into the chat if anybody is interested in trying Edit GPT. Okay, I think we should thank you for the conversation and you know, letting us know what y'all are up to. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play the video this time, just because I don't want to spend too long on it. And just give me a sec. Oh, what's this? Oh, ducky. Um, I'm gonna play the video, and then I'm gonna also, as I normally do, I'm gonna open up some breakout rooms if you would like to go into a quiet space um, while I play this video. But if you want to watch the video, feel free to stay in here and we can talk about it afterwards and see how we can, if there's anything that would be applicable to your classrooms or your courses. So I'm going to open up the room if anybody wants to. You don't have to go in if you don't want to. And I'm going to share my sound, and then I'm going to play this video about evaluating AI feedback.
All right, let's just jump right in. Generative AI tools. I mean, they're everywhere in our classrooms now, right? They
Can y'all hear that? Thumbs up. Okay, cool.
promise to change everything, from how we plan lessons to how we give feedback. But here's the big question, the one we all need to be asking. Are these tools really helping our students? Or could they actually be doing more harm than good? That's what we're going to dig into today. We're going to give you the tools to cut through all that hype and figure out what's what.
And look, this isn't some sci-fi down the road kind of thing. It's happening right now. It's already a huge part of the school day for so many. A recent RAND report found that, get this, 1 in 4 teachers in the US used AI for teaching just this past school year. And if you're an English or science teacher, that number shoots up to almost 40%. So yeah, the tech isn't coming. It's here.
So that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. As educators, we know that feedback is maybe the single most powerful tool we have for helping students learn and grow. So we have to ask the hard questions here. Is the feedback these AI tools are spitting out, is it actually accurate? Is it something a student can actually use? Does it match what we're trying to teach, or are we accidentally leading our students down the wrong path? Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the promise of AI versus the reality in the classroom, what the research actually says. Then, we'll get into a really practical tool for you, looking at everything from the quality of the feedback to the interface itself. And we'll finish up with the most crucial piece of the puzzle, your role in all this.
All right, first section, promise versus reality. I mean, the potential for AI in education feels huge, right? But what happens when that shiny new promise crashes into the, let's be honest, messy and complicated reality of an actual classroom? Well, the results, they're not always what you'd expect.
So look at this. This is where things get really interesting. On the one hand, you've got all the marketing hype, right? AI feedback is supposed to be immediate, personalized, totally objective, and comprehensive. Sounds amazing. But when you actually look at what the research finds, it's a totally different story. The feedback can be overwhelming for students, way too vague to be useful, sometimes just plain inaccurate, and often completely misaligned with what you're even trying to teach. It's a classic case of sounding good on paper, but falling flat in practice.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into what that research actually uncovered. And just so you know, this isn't based on a couple of opinions. We're talking about a synthesis of 33 different studies. So this is a really solid, evidence-based look at why we need to be, a little bit careful here. So one of the biggest problems is something called a hallucination. It's kind of a funny word for a really serious problem. It's basically when the AI just makes stuff up. Seriously, it might completely misunderstand what a student wrote, or it might apply criteria from a totally different assignment, or just invent things that aren't even there. And the scariest part, it says it all with this incredible confidence. So a student, especially one who's still learning, might just take it as fact. They wouldn't even know to question it. And, it doesn't stop with just making things up. The research points out a bunch of other big problems. Think about it. As a teacher, you know to focus on maybe one or two key things a student needs to work on, right? The most important stuff. But AI, it often just throws everything at them. A wall of feedback that's completely overwhelming. Or the feedback is way too generic to mean anything. Or too complex, which is a huge issue for, say, language learners. And this gets to a really critical point. Students who are already struggling are the most vulnerable. They're more likely to just accept that flawed AI feedback without question, which means they're not actually learning.
Okay, so the challenges are pretty clear, right? But here's the good news. You're not on your own with this stuff. The very same researchers at the Center for Assessment who dug up all these problems, they also built a solution. They created a really practical tool to help us all make smarter choices about this tech. It's basically taking all that research and turning it into something we can actually use. And this is it. It's a framework built around 10 criteria, all based on that research. You can think of it like a checklist or a guide, something to help you really break down and evaluate any AI feedback tool before you even think about using it with your students.
So these 10 criteria are broken down into two main buckets, which makes a lot of sense. The first group is all about the feedback itself. Is it any good? Is it relevant? Can a student actually use it? The second group is more about the tool's interface and how it works in a real classroom. We're talking about things like customization and, super importantly, data privacy. And you really can't have one without the other. Both sides are absolutely crucial.
So let's dive into that first bucket, evaluating the quality of the feedback. This is really about the nitty-gritty. Is the advice the AI is giving actually going to help a student get better? Is it accurate? Is it specific? Does it focus on what really matters? And right at the top, number one is accuracy. Honestly, this is the foundation for everything else. If the feedback is just plain wrong or it's not even based on what the student wrote, then nothing else matters. It's a non-starter. We automatically trust that a teacher's feedback is accurate, but you just can't make that same assumption with AI. So this has to be your very first checkpoint.
So the question you have to ask yourself is really simple. Can I trust this thing? Or am I going to have to double check every single piece of feedback for mistakes or those hallucinations? Because let's be real, if you have to check everything, then this tool is probably making your job harder, not easier. Okay, next up, let's jump to criterion number 4, which is specificity. We've all seen useless feedback, right? Comments like, good job, or add more detail. It's just not helpful. To actually help a student learn, feedback has got to be descriptive. It has to be specific. It has to give them something to actually do. And I just love the way the framework words the guiding question for this one. It's perfect. Basically, any good feedback has to answer 3 key questions for a student. First, where am I going? What's the goal here? Second, where am I now? How am I doing so far? And third, how do I get there? What are my next steps? If an AI tool can't answer those 3 questions clearly, then it's not giving real feedback. It's just making noise. All right, let's switch gears and look at that second group of criteria. Because having great feedback is one thing, but the tool itself has to actually work in a classroom. It has to be practical. It has to be safe. So now we're looking at the user experience. Can you customize it? And this is a big one. How does it handle student privacy? So a huge piece of this is criterion number 6, customization. At the end of the day, you are the expert in your classroom. The tool should be working for you, not the other way around. You need to be able to make it align with your rubrics, your learning goals, your standards. So the questions to ask are pretty straightforward. Does this tool put me in control? Can I see the feedback? And more importantly, can I edit it before it ever gets to my students? Can I give it my own rubric so it's looking for the things that I've actually taught? These aren't just nice to haves. They're essential for you to stay in charge of the instruction. And that brings us to an absolute deal breaker. Criterion number 9, student data privacy. Look, when we're talking about schools and students, this isn't just a nice feature on a list. It's a legal requirement. It's an ethical responsibility. You absolutely must know what is happening with your students' data.
So, these are the questions you need to be asking any company that's trying to sell you one of these tools. What student data are you using? Where are you storing it? Can I opt my students out of letting you use their work to train your AI? Can I delete their info? If you don't get clear, satisfying answers to these questions, walk away. It's that simple.
And all of this really leads to the final and I think most important point. Every single one of these criteria is designed to do one thing: put the power back in your hands. This technology is just a tool, and like any tool, whether it's a hammer or a spreadsheet, it's only as good as the expert who's using it. You know, the researchers behind this framework said it best. They said, feedback is consequential. We recommend keeping humans in the loop, not as an abstract principle, but through concrete tools. And that's the key part right there. Keeping you, the teacher, in the loop isn't just some vague, nice idea. It's an absolute necessity. And this framework, this is the concrete tool that lets you do it. So, in the end, the question really comes back to you. We know these tools are going to become more and more a part of our world. So how are you going to use these criteria? How will you make sure you're asking the tough questions, choosing the right tools, and above all, protecting your students and helping them learn? That's the real challenge. And now you've got a framework to help you face it.
Thank you, Notebook LM. I thought it was kind of ironic they're talking about keeping humans in the loop. And they got a big loop here that they can't quite fit all of the text in in the loop. So, not perfect, but I think enough for us to get a sense of the importance of making sure that if you're trying to get feedback from AI, making sure that you double check it, making sure that it's accurate, that it's helping your students. Where are they now? Where do they need to go? How can they get there? What do you all, after watching this video, what are you all thinking about this topic?
Hey Ronald, this is Alyssa.
Hey.
I'm just curious if educators using AI to write feedback is the same as students using AI to write their homework. It seems like, no, I mean, I know you're laughing, but it seems like that is the work teachers should be doing. And I know teachers do a lot of work, and I'm not arguing against trying to make our work more effective. I
Uh-huh.
guess I'm just asking an ethics type question. Is it
Yeah.
ethical for teachers to use AI to provide feedback to their students, just to make their jobs more efficient when providing feedback to students is something they're being paid to do
Hmm.
and is a core piece of the instructor student relationship and the learning process. So I'm just kind of curious where other people sit with that. And then if you are using it to write feedback, are you telling students that they're getting AI feedback, not
Mm.
feedback from you? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that I've never used AI to write feedback, but the way I use it is maybe a little differently than the way others have described. Sometimes I struggle to get what I'm trying to say into words that one, the student can understand, and two, that sometimes, I might have, sorry, the dog's barking. I might think, oh my gosh, this is terrible, but you can't tell your student, oh my gosh, this is terrible. You have to
Yeah.
make it constructive. And sometimes I struggle with that wording a little bit, but I
Mhm.
will make the effort to write it myself. And then I read it and say, that's not so great. I think that could be better. And then I take it to Chat GPT or Claude. I actually prefer Claude now, but I take it to Claude and say, hey, could you help me soften this and make it a little more, friendly or specific or, whatever I think that it's missing, because sometimes I just struggle to write stuff. So
Yeah.
that's just my comment about AI and providing feedback.
Yeah, I'm curious also to hear if anybody has some to say about this. And I see Derek that you have your hand, but real quick, I was laughing because I was reading an article. I think it was the I want to push I wish I could push ChatGPT off of a cliff, which came out recently from The Guardian, where they were talking about, and I've heard this before, but more recently in that article where, we're could be headed to this place where students are submitting work that they did in AI to be graded by an instructor that's using AI to grade it. And so it's almost like the human is out of the loop completely, right? From the student side and the instructor side. And so um, I don't know. I think that's why conversations like this are important, where we can talk with faculty and and see how people are using it and see what everybody thinks is okay. And I don't know. I'm curious to hear what Derek has to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think my comment or thought sort of ties in a little bit with Alyssa's in that, like, so, on Monday, I'll have 10 lab papers that students will have submitted that I'll have to grade. And I want to have them graded by the end of the day, Wednesday, so I can submit my grades.
Hmm.
Certainly I have more time than that, but I'll be doing some traveling. So I just want to get it done, right? And in my head, it's like, sure, I might, although I'm not as experienced in creating or using AI, and certainly not creating GPTs, but perhaps I could, if I was, I could create a GPT. But my question is the ethical boundary too of, even if we let students know that we've used AI to grade their assignment, do we have their permission to take something that they wrote
Mm,
and put it into an AI platform
yeah,
to provide feedback, even if we take out all the identifying information and everything like that,
it's
right?
true.
Um, and that's one reason why, well, I mean, yeah, um, why I haven't gone down that path. Um, and also just from I guess a pride standpoint, students have commented to me how much they appreciate the feedback that I do provide, and they can
Yeah,
tell it's coming from me directly. So,
nice.
you know, uh, yeah, I mean, I'm not at all fully anti-AI. I don't use AI as much as some folks, but or as much as probably many of the folks on here do, but um in this way, that's I guess, the ethical question and that I've been asking myself. So
Mm,
I think it's great that we're talking about this and talking about that the quality of the feedback just isn't there, and it really depends. And was Kelly and other, like, it's all about the prompt, right? So
mhm.
I think there's ways to improve the feedback, but it does. I think in my mind, I'm still trying to figure out, is it okay to do that?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean, with what Alyssa said, like we're instructors, it's our job to give feedback to the students. So, um, how does that play into the equation? Kelly, did you want anything to add anything?
Yeah, when I do it, because, well, I'm in a different position because I teach IT. So, I make it part of the assignment to do the, get the feedback from AI, and then we talk about it as a class.
Mm,
So, I give the students, here you go, build it. Here's the procedures, here's the steps, build it. They get done, they answer some questions, they get the feedback based off the output or the outcome. Did they get it?
mhm.
Did they get it working? Did they not? Which, honestly, most of them get it working. And then
Nice.
also how they answered the questions. Did they understand the process, right? Like, I don't give them everything. Some stuff they got to read about, right?
Hmm.
So, for example, your system has to be updated. It has to be at a certain revision. I don't put that in the procedures or the processes. It's in the written documentation. It's in, the lecture. I want to see if they're going to catch it, but I make it
Mm,
part of the assignment is to get the evaluation from AI, and then when you sit and look at it and laugh at what, and it's a good lesson for them because they're teaching IT or they're learning IT. I'm teaching IT. I'm teaching IT security. Can you believe what you're really getting? Can you believe
yeah,
what AI is actually telling you?
right.
And so, by incorporating it and having everybody involved in it, they don't have to show each other the feedback, but they can see what AI is actually doing and how it's functioning and what it's telling them, you
Yeah,
know, being open
that's good.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like the transparency. And I mean, I think that's just a great skill just to see, you know, look at AI feedback, talk about it, critique it, point out like this is completely wrong, or like I don't know why I brought this up. Just to kind of show the fallacy of the the models as they currently stand. I mean, who knows where they're going to go into the future, but yeah, it's not perfect. Like any sort of feedback that I got, I always had to go back and change something or make it sound a little bit uh more concise, more constructive.
You
And
know, many years
yeah.
ago, I used to joke with my students not too long ago, and I would tell them, I'm not going to be on speed dial when you graduate and get a job. You need to know how to do this, right?
Right.
Yeah, and now today they go, well, I got AI, and I go, oh, do you? Let's see how accurate it is, right?
Yeah. It's good. It's
Well,
good. I
that's
like that.
exactly, I was going to add something to that, Kelly. It's exactly, even if somebody uses AI, there's still a learning process in learning the new technology. And in our program, we encourage innovation, right? We encourage critical thinking. We encourage, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so when we're exploring a tool, a piece of software, we have to use it in order to understand it better, right? Um,
Hmm.
and and we've got to delve into the insides and outs of it to see, okay, what could be, um, where could the possible security thing be, right? To either get into it or get something out of it that we want. But I think that in a certain way, and I'm not, there can be a stance of opposing the use of it and so forth, and there can be a stance of approving the use of it. But at the same time, there's always that concern that is like underlying that what if they do use it and stuff like that. And I think it boils down also to how, to maybe outlining certain aspects. And I just thought of something, and I'm really glad that we're here talking about this because it just kind of sparked the thought in a rubric aspect of an assignment. What if you were to incentivize utilizing AI in an ethical way with your
Mm.
assignments? So somebody that doesn't use it at all or doesn't say that they're using it will be at a different rubric aspect than somebody explaining how they used it or outlining what they did and
Mm.
um and of course primering that with an intro to AI ethics class or something
Yeah, we
or
we have
relying on
we're
that.
almost done with AI and technology literacy. No,
Yeah,
AI and information literacy module.
exactly.
And so Jeff's been working on that with Deb and Pearl from the
Uh-huh.
library. And it's going to be a module, hopefully that's ready for spring quarter that instructors can just drag it, like import into their Canvas course. And if they want to talk about AI, like there's like I think five different pages or five different things, ethical use, what it is, how to use it, 'cause it cuts some of the basics
Hmm.
around it. But yeah, definitely, I like that idea
For
of.
our for our stuff, it would encourage the documentation aspect that typically is weaker.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like I think in this age, just in general,
Yep,
just to make the point, we have to start focusing on the process and how to assess the process because usually, traditionally it's, figure it out on your own, like we'll teach you how to do it, we'll give you all the resources, but then we just want to see the final product. But the final
exactly.
product is not what is most important now. I mean, it's, still important. Still, you need to be able to do the thing. But when AI can do that thing, then it's the process. We want to be able to assess their thinking.
Yeah,
Um, and
exactly.
so
And if we're
that's,
using tools ourselves and we're using things as tools, ideally our perspective would be going into it that we are going to utilize tools in some way, shape, or form, not to specifically cheat ourselves out of education. You know what I mean?
yeah, sure. Yeah,
and
definitely.
and any process using AI still requires a bit of thinking,
There's got to
and
be a
coming
human
up
in
with
the
a
loop.
solution.
So, okay. What I see Nizar has his hands up. Did you want to add something onto that?
Yeah, thank you, Ronald. Yeah, as I said before, like what we do in the classroom, it's a writing class is we do the writing process. So we have steps. So the students, they write in the classroom, they get feedback from each other, and then I use sometimes AI in the classroom with the students to at least to show them what kind of feedback they can get from AI and what kind of feedback they get from the teacher, like on the spot. So they
Mm,
compare like the peer editing process, like get feedback from their colleagues with whatever level of English they have. Based on a rubric, they can evaluate the paper, and then I do it in front of them in the classroom, like I post a sentence randomly from any of the students in the classroom after taking their permission, and then you
hmm
post it on whatever AI tool you have, like GPT or another one. And then if we agree on the feedback, if it makes sense, if it is accurate, then we can say yes. If not, then the teacher will have input. Why this is good, why not? There will be a kind of discussion because,
Oh,
there will be kind of discussion because if you like it, if not, in the end, the students are using these tools, but the teacher is the best person to know if his or her students are using AI or not, because you
mm,
know the level of your students. You know the students more than anybody else. For that
sure.
reason, I highly advocate for writing to be done in the classroom while you as a sector is present, because
Yeah.
that is what yes, they know, yeah, they should know these tools, how to use them, kind of. For that reason, I started teaching a new class, like this is my third quarter. I call it AI literacy.
Mm,
So in this course, it's specifically for ELA students, and in this course, we have a lot of modules about ethics, about privacy, about hallucination, about how to use this tool, why this tool, how much to use it, what should
hmm
you say, how kind of citation you need to, kind of policy about how much to use it. Even if they use it, they need to say it, I used it for this purpose.
mm.
So that
Nice.
is
Specifics.
that's what I have been doing, and I'm getting good feedback from the students because the students, as I said, they are using it. We
hmm
are using it in different ways. So at least to be transparent about to teach them how to use it correctly or ethically, paying attention to the academic integrity, to the honesty, to you know what I'm saying. So about how much information you share on these tools. So
hmm
we need to teach them, right, and to be a
Yeah.
model, for them. So every single assignment I do, if I use AI, I say it in the very beginning of my module. This is the tool I used on this date for this purpose.
Oh,
Like
nice.
at least not to claim that you did it yourself. Because
Yeah.
if you tell your students don't do it and then you do it, that is not the way it works, right? That
No.
then there's a problem with your honesty in the classroom. And the students are smart. We shouldn't underestimate them. They know you are using AI as an instructor because when you get feedback, it should be very personalized, right? Even the word you use, we need to pay attention to that. So that's what that I just want to share that with you. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're being transparent with them because that's going to help that like model the behavior of being transparent when they use it. And so that's
Thank you.
great. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to catch up on the chat here. Yep, great approach, great idea. I agree. Um, I think I want to move on to the Explorer here, but if I were to add one final thing, um, and the example of an English instructor who's using AI in their course, and they, they have essays. They still have essays that the students have to write, for a writing course, and they're transparent and let the students know, that just for the um, initial feedback. Uh, well, actually, their process is this. They'll go through, they'll read all of the submissions from the students and make notes as they're going through, just like they normally would. Now, if they were to just submit the notes to the students, then it would be a little bit like sporadic and maybe the students wouldn't understand. But what they do is they take those notes along with the assignment description, the rubric, and then, I'm not sure if they have a GPT or a conversation that they use so that they don't have to prompt it every time, but then they put in um, the essay without, any identifying information, and then also the notes, and then it has it uh basically take the notes that, any sort of corrections and makes it into feedback that's, presentable, understandable, then as opposed to just saying like, this, these are the things. And so they said that, if they've got 30 students and multiple classes, and, they're trying to give everybody an equal amount of, uh, energy and focus to write the feedback, that if they can have AI give, the initial draft of the feedback, um, based on their notes that they've already gone through and, they've noted anything that needs, to be focused on for the students to improve, um, that it's helped them to do them. They feel that it's helped them to do all 30 of them like with a more fresh mind, if that makes any sense. Like if you think about, okay, I'm gonna go through this paper, I'm gonna correct everything, and then I have to write the actual feedback. And so it takes up the mental energy to put those sentences together and fill in, and make it sound nice. Why don't I have AI do that part? And then once I have all of those, then I can go and say, okay, AI is, it's missing the mark on this point, or, this one's good. Um, I approve of this. I would have written this anyways, right? And so that's where kind of the experience of being an instructor for a while. Um, we've all been instructors before AI came around, so I don't know how it's going to look in the future, but we know what feedback, good feedback looks like for our students, and what's going to help them out. And so that's why I feel like we're a little bit safe because we have that experience, and we know, what's gonna help the students out. But then having the AI um, help put that the thing that takes the time, the thing that takes the energy, and then instead of being the creator of the feedback, you're more of like an editor of the feedback. So, okay, let's go ahead and do this explore here. I want to do this one before we run out of time. So what we're going to do for this one, we're going to put our AI feedback under the microscope. So we're going to choose an assignment from a current course that students submit regularly. Coincidentally, this is the last, week of the quarter, and so y'all should be getting a bunch of student submissions this week. Generate a piece of AI feedback on a sample of an assignment that you use using the prompt below, and then evaluate what the AI produced against the 10 criteria. And so the criteria, if you want the direct link to the criteria, it's this first link, and then if you scroll down, it's the set of the 10 criteria. This is a PDF that you can find that you can use. And they talked about this in the video, but these are a little bit more detail about those things. They've got the research basis and then the evaluation questions. But we're going to try to incorporate all of that into this conversation. So identify the single biggest flaw in the AI feedback and revise that section with your own judgment, and then save both versions, the raw AI output and the revised version, and then you're going to use those in the apply section. So I'm just going to go ahead and use ChatGPT for this one since there's already a link. And then I'm going to copy this prompt, and then I'll go over this prompt with y'all as I kind of fill it in. So I'm going to use an example from that instructor's class. And it's just an English 101 class. And so hold on, let's see here. We'll call it English 101. English 101. The assignment is a leadership essay. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this here. I'm going to put it in quotes so that it knows when it starts and when it ends. This one here, caution about using AI responsibly. AI is allowed for brainstorming, for some structure help, and some specific editing. You may not use it to draft any parts of your essay. This instructor has the yellow caution assignment tag at the top. And then it's an essay about leadership under pressure. And it's related to a book called The Outsiders, and Derry Curtis is misunderstood. And so I'm going to go through a lot of that right now, but if you use an assignment that you know very well, then it's going to be obviously better. And then a student work sample. Here is an example essay. So I can paste this in here. Once again, I'm going to put it in quotes so that it knows where it starts and when it ends. And then student background, there's nothing really that I need to know. There's nothing special about the students for this one. Okay, now if I look, let's see. So task one is this is going to generate the feedback, write constructive feedback. Write constructive feedback on the student work that identifies 2 to 3 specific strengths directly tied to the learning objective, identifies 1 to 2 priority areas for improvement, and then gives an actionable step that the student can take independently. So it's going to do this, right? And then it's going to self-evaluate the output. And actually, I'm going to save this for the second prompt. I'm going to try. I think it'll be better because I don't want to overload it right away. So I've got the assignment and then I've got an example. Let's go ahead and see what feedback it comes back with. Okay, so feedback on the essay 2. You do a strong job making a clear argument about Derry's leadership style. Your thesis goes beyond saying he is simply strict or harsh. Okay. Another strength is you use the specific analysis from the outsiders. You do not summarize his actions. You explain how moments. Okay. Your essay does a good job bringing the outside research in a meaningful way. Okay, and then here's the area for growth. Textual evidence. While you refer to important moments from the novel, the essay would be stronger if you included a few direct quotations from the outsiders. This example was created with AI, and so, as y'all know, or may not know, it's pretty bad at quoting things unless you've like directly given it that source or that text. And so if you're asking it to write an essay about the outsiders that needs quotes from the outsiders, it's not going to put the right ones in there. And it might even make up some. So a second area to improve is source precision. You mentioned scholars and family studies, but the essay would be stronger if those sources were named. Oh, I didn't copy that in, but that was included. But um, it notes that it's lacking. Okay, so revise by adding 2 to 3 short quotations from the outsiders, especially in the body paragraphs where you discuss their strictness, sacrifice, and emotional restraint. So we've got 3 good things, 2 for improvement, and then 1 thing to do next. I'm gonna put in the second uh, prompt to see where it's going to self-evaluate that feedback. So this is a prompt to check the feedback. So one was a prompt to create the feedback, and then this is a prompt to check the feedback. And let's see what this one comes up with. This one says, after generating the feedback, evaluate it against these criteria. Is the claim in the feedback factually correct and directly tied to the student's actual work? Does the feedback connect explicitly to stated learning objectives? Is the language appropriate? Does it answer where am I going? Where am I now? How do I get there? And is the feedback focused on the most critical improvements? So here is the self-evaluation. Accuracy, mostly strong, but the one concern to flag, my feedback says the essay would be stronger if it included direct quotations. That is a reasonable instructional suggestion, but I do not know. I do not actually know from the sample whether quotations were required by the assignment or whether paraphrased textual evidence was acceptable. Okay, so that one kind of goes back to the assignment. Is it required that they have quotations in there? Let me go ahead and see if there's no rubric for this one. Standards aligned, mostly strong. Clarity is strong. Specificity, mostly strong. I mean, this is kind of like that meme where you've got the person giving the medal to themselves. So I don't know if it's saying that the feedback is good because it made the feedback. But that's one thing you have to be careful about because I've said it many times, the AI is really good at giving you the response that it thinks you want. So um yeah, I would say play with these. Y'all can try those out. Especially like I said, tis the season for grading assignments. Once again, no names, no identifying information. That's a FERPA violation, not just for AI, but just for anything. Like if you wouldn't like put somebody's assignment, like send it, in an email or share any of that information on the internet. It's the same with AI. So, um, yeah, try that one out. There's another one that you can try out in the apply section. So, check that one out as well. And hopefully, if you're going to try this out, hopefully it gives you some good results. And maybe helps you do grades with a little bit more sanity. So, it's 4:02 now. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes if there's any questions, but If you need to go, thank you for coming.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Ronald.
Yep.
See you,
Thank
bud.
you, Ronald. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Nazar. Nice
Thank you
to
very
see
much.
you.
Thank you. So
And I'll
these
see you
prompts, the prompt you use will be in Canvas, right? Canvas page.
Yeah, let me give you a before I'm closing this out, I'll give you a quick hyperlink and
Thank
let
you.
me know if you click on this link if you can access it. I just want
Okay.
to make sure you're in the class. So if you're
Yes,
not, I can.
it's working. Yeah.
It's working?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Quick
Bye.
unrelated question, Ronald. Did you get the
Ye-
content that I sent you?